What up everyone, you can call me Fallout, and today I've got 8 great tips for new players getting into Outriders, the new looter shooter game from People Can Fly. If you want a basic rundown on every playable class in the game and what they bring to the table, check out my beginner's guide on each class, link in the top right corner now. But before we get going, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Ridge Wallets. These things are beautiful, and I'm glad to promote them on my channel because I've actually been using one myself for about the past year. No joke, this right here has been my actual wallet. A lot of guys I know are still lugging around wallets like this. Big, bulky, floppy, and uncomfortable, doesn't sit well in your pocket, and you gotta move it around when you sit down. As I mentioned, over a year of the Ridge wallet, and I'm just never going back. It's light, sleek, and efficient. It doesn't fold or bulge out awkwardly in your pocket. It's got room for all my cards and a clip for bills when I am carrying cash. They've got over 30 colors and styles on their website, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. Sounds like a Destiny shader. They've got 30,000 5-star reviews, one of them being mine, and each wallet comes with a lifetime warranty. Yes, you can buy just one wallet and boom, carry and use it for life. The Ridge is so confident you'll like it that they'll let you test drive it for 45 days, and if you don't, you can send it back for a full refund. Get 10% off today with free worldwide shipping and returns by going to ridge.com/falloutplays and use promo code falloutplays. Link to their site in the video description, and thank you again to Ridge for sponsoring today's video. All right, back to the content. Tip number 1, cover is not mandatory. I know a lot of people have Outriders completely pegged as a game where you absolutely have to use the in-game cover system. You don't. Naturally, when I started playing the Outriders demo, I was all about the cover system because I thought it was an adapt or die type situation. The game kind of leans you into the cover system pretty hard, and almost every combat engagement you enter will have walls you can lean on and ledges you can duck down behind, all that stuff. But just because it's there doesn't mean you gotta use it. Later on in the demo, after I'd pretty much maxed out every character and class, I'd found out that I wasn't really using the cover system as much as I thought I would. Yeah, you have to every now and then, especially if you're taking a quick breather during combat, but for the most part, you can stay out in the open as long as you're A, dealing damage, and B, actually moving your butt around and not standing still. Some classes in the game, like the Trickster, are highly mobile, and you'll kind of be hurting yourself a little bit if you're too actively relying on the cover mechanic. Believe me, you'll figure it out in time, but for the most part, don't be married to cover. Next up, don't sleep on your melee abilities. I'm gonna be completely real with you, no shame. During the demo, I didn't realize that meleeing enemies actually was a viable thing to do until about my 3rd character pick. I knew that you could melee people, but I kind of thought to myself, why would I? I have a gun. The Technomancer, for example, their default melee ability, which you can pretty much use whenever, is a ground pound that completely freezes people in a small area of effect. That's an awesome get out of jail free card, and I found myself using it all the time when I realized how good it was. The Pyromancer can burn enemies with their default melee, which factors into their ability to effectively self-heal in combat when killing marked targets. Yada yada yada. I know that guns and Outriders are awesome and you're mainly going to be focusing on them and your abilities together, but don't forget about your default melee. It's better than you think. Tip number 3, remember that you can manually tweak your auto loot minimum rarity. What the hell does that mean? Well, in the in-game settings, there's a little thing called auto loot minimum rarity. Auto looting is essentially your character automatically vacuuming up any unclaimed loot that you may have left laying around on the floor after a fight. Now, naturally, at the very beginning of playing Outriders, you probably want to make sure that you're picking up as much loot as you can, even if it isn't very good. The reason you want to do that is because you probably want to break down all that excess gear or sell it. Either way, you want to pick up as much as you can. However, later on in your Outriders career, maybe you feel that you're getting weighed down by all the low-level garbage you keep sucking in, and you want to only auto loot the things of a certain tier or higher. Going in and manually tweaking the auto loot rarity setting will help you do that. Go ahead and get in there, fiddle with the level of rarity until you're happy with it, and good luck with the loot hunting. Okay, next up, your class points can be completely reallocated on your tree for free. This one was kind of a big shock to me because, as many of you know, I've played a lot of Destiny 2, where they really hate it when you experiment with things like your in-game artifact. Every time you decide you want to change up the perks on your artifact, you gotta pay more and more glimmer, aka in-game currency. Not the same thing in Outriders though. Are you experimenting with a particular branch on your class tree and you eventually decide, you know what, maybe this path ain't the one for me. Well, guess what? You can completely reallocate the entire thing, no cost at all. And you can do that as many times as you want. Go nuts. Unlimited experimentation. Just like college. Tip number 5, shoulder swapping is a thing. Again, yeah, full disclosure, when I was a new player in the demo, I put a lot of time into the game before learning you could actually swap which shoulder you mount your weapon on when aiming and in combat. You can actually literally do that like right in the middle of a firefight multiple times with no real delay or penalty or anything. Remember earlier how I told you cover isn't always mandatory? Yeah, just actively moving around the map efficiently paired together with swapping your weapon from shoulder to shoulder when you feel like you need to is pretty much enough for me. You're not always going to need to do this, by the way, but as you move around the map, if you feel that the angle you have on your enemy looks kind of weird with how your weapon is currently mounted, just swap shoulders. Check the controls menu to learn how to do that on your particular method of input. Next tip I got for you, you can repeatedly farm side quests in the game over and over, and you should. At least that's how it was during the demo, and I would be shocked, I tell you, if it were any different in the full version of the final game. Repeatedly farming side quests is kind of a great way to acquire legendary level gear. You make sure that your world tier difficulty is at a high-ish level because you get a better shot at getting legendary level gear. You pick a short side quest that you feel confident you can breeze through, or one with potentially multiple opportunities to acquire loot, and then you start pounding and grinding away. Back in the demo, players used this method to get their hands on a ton of dank legendary gear, myself included. You can also potentially do this to grind XP, but I feel like legendary gear farming is probably the better play. Just remember to keep any very short side quests on your mental back burner for potential farming later. The next tip is more along the lines of something important to be really aware of. Player leveling and world tier leveling are not the same thing. This one is a little confusing if you're uber new and have no idea what I'm talking about. Here's the deal. Outriders has a normal XP bar, which is how you level your character, unlocking abilities and points in your class tree, and all of that. But leveling your world tier is kind of separate from that. Your world tier is your overall difficulty setting in Outriders. Changing the world tier affects the overall difficulty of the game. You can crank up the difficulty whenever you want by raising the world tier, but in return, you get a shot at better rewards. In order to level up the next world tier, you have to be actively leveling and playing the current highest world tier that you have available to you. For example, let's say you're doing a mission and you're finding it way too hard. You can lower the world tier difficulty to breeze through that quest a little bit quicker, but by doing so, you're lowering your chance at getting better loot due to the lower difficulty level, and you're not actively leveling towards your next level of world tier. Again, you're always leveling up your character in-game no matter what you do, but you can only level up your next level of world tier by actively grinding on your current highest level of world tier. So whatever you do, don't lower the world tier to make things easier, then forget to change it back because you won't be earning any progress towards the next tier. Now for the final tip, which may fall under the duh umbrella, but hey, I didn't notice it right away when I played. The guides tab under the game menu is rich with dank information, and you absolutely should read through it on day one. Again, I come from the land of Destiny, a game that loves to keep you relatively in the dark regarding in-game information. The game guide tab in Outriders has info on absolutely everything you could ever want. Health regen, class heal, leech, shield, status effects, crafting, improve rarity, swapping weapon variants, different types of enemies, mods, attributes, dismantling, and much more. I was kind of shocked at how much info they had in there. Honestly, it's kind of like the Outriders game has an in-game data wiki that you can whip open at any time. Modding is probably the next big thing in the game I want to be able to wrap my head around, so you can be sure that I'm going to do a bunch of reading on that. But yeah, anything you want, odds are, the info can be found right there in the in-game game guide menu. Do not forget about it. And there you go, a bunch of tips I feel are really important to new players getting into Outriders. I put a buttload of hours into the demo, thought it was pretty fun, can't wait to give the full version of the game a whirl. I'll actually probably be streaming it at some point, so if you're interested, feel free to hop on over to my Twitch channel and check it out. I stream every day of the week except for Wednesday and Sunday, so hope to see some of you there. Quick reminder that if you're interested in learning more about what I use in my gaming setup or any of the brands that I'm currently partnered with, you can check that out down in the video description. Give today's video a like if you feel it helped you out in any way, and let me know down in the comment section if you have any more important info that you feel new players should know. As always, don't forget to click that big red subscribe button and help me with my oh so humble goal of becoming the sole ruler of the entire planet. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.